Well, thank you for joining me. A little bit of an update first. Taylor is doing absolutely great. Obviously, we've got about 18 months left. I appreciate all the prayers. Everybody out there has asked us from time to time, and Taylor's doing great. We get to spend a lot of time with him. He's with his brothers. He's living a normal life, with the exception of his hospital visits on Wednesday. And sometimes he gets steroids, which makes him a little nervous and on edge. But he's doing absolutely great. Race team-wise, we had our best weekend ever, if you can believe that or not. It was at Talladega. It's the first time ever that we won the nationwide race on Saturday and turned around and won the big race on Sunday. So it's been a blessing for us. In the middle of that, we got, as you probably, a bunch of you, if you're race fans, saw where Tony Stewart, we're in the process of trying to get his contract done. And he's considering all kinds of options there, and we kind of addressed that some this weekend. That's going to be an ongoing drama. And so from time to time, I'll probably be doing the show on that at some point. But if you stay tuned, I'll try and keep you updated on everything that's going on with the race team. And obviously Kyle went in this weekend, and it was great having Denny finish third. Tony got caught up in a wreck, was awful. He led the most laps. But we got a lot of things going on with the race team. I want to kind of share with you just a little bit here today, a little bit of a thought. This weekend, Pat and I, on the Friday night, we got to go see a movie. And that movie, which some of you have heard a lot of people talking about, it's Expelled with Ben Stein. And really, I went in kind of not knowing what to expect. And really and truly what it was this. It was a discussion on how we got here, how the world began, how life began. And it was, as we all know, there's two basic theories there. You can kind of believe the Darwinian theory, which, you know, that we just evolved, okay? And that, to me, as you guys have heard me talk about it, that means that we're basically an accident. We're an accident. Somehow we got here by accident. Something blew up or something happened, and of course you guys have heard me talk about that. I kind of tell people just through logic, when you see something as complicated as this watch, nobody questions the fact that there's a watchmaker. We haven't seen him, don't know he's there. We don't question that. It's just logic. And yet this world is as complicated as it is, and the way this world's put together with plants putting off oxygen you and I breathe, this is a very, very complicated universe we have. And to think that this is an accident, to me, makes no sense. There's got to be a world maker. Well, if you kind of go through this initial movie and all the things that are discussed in here, these initial conversations with the supposedly scholars in this area, it's interesting because they're talking about, hey, is the world an accident? Or did somebody actually love, make, and create you and I in this world? And of course, you know, it was kind of interesting for me because really and truly, if you think a lot about that, how we began and what you believe about that, are we an accident or somebody created us, probably has a lot to say about what? Your self-worth, how you're living your life today. And then, of course, last week I had another very interesting thing take place in my life. We had a chance to talk to Randy Alcorn right here in this room, as a matter of fact. And Randy, as you know, has written the book on heaven. It's an exhaustive study of what God has to say about heaven. And I was kind of, as I talked and listened to Randy and, you know, what he thinks about heaven, what we've got to look forward to is absolutely fantastic. And it changed my whole outlook on, you know, a lot of people don't talk about heaven because they talk about floating around and playing a harp. That's really not, if you want to read that book and get an excitement about heaven, read Randy Alcorn's book about heaven. It gave me a new outlook on it, and I know I got excited about it. And so as I kind of thought about that and talked to Randy, I was thinking about, just a minute ago we were talking about life and how it began. Now we're talking about what we're looking forward to, okay, at the end of our life. Where are we going? Where are we going to spend eternity? And so if we kind of believe what Randy says and what God's Word says about heaven, we're going to spend eternity with the Lord. So if we stop and think about that for a minute, where are we going to spend? We're going to spend eternity with the Lord, and He made us and created us. Now, if you stop and think about those two things, how the world began, how we began, and where we're going and where we're going to spend eternity, it has a lot to say about what? How we spend our life. And so for me, I have a loving God, I believe, that created me. I'm going to get to spend eternity with Him. And so in reality, what I should be doing is what? In the time that I've got to live on this earth, I should be storing up my treasures where? In heaven. I believe that. Wouldn't it be awful to think that you're an accident? And of course, if you think you're an accident and life is over when our physical body dies, then what? Hey, you live life for today. I'm not worried about stepping on anybody. I want self-gratification. And wouldn't that be an awful way to live your life? Instead, you know, those of us that believe God's Word and we believe that God created us, He knit us together in our mother's womb, we started life with Him, He gave us life. Okay, we know we're going to spend eternity with Him. It means what? We spend then the rest of our years. My thought process should be, what can I do for Him? Okay, and storing up my treasures in heaven. And so that's really in Matthew 6:20 we get that verse. And that really is what my life should be about. And hopefully that's what your life is about right now. Love to kind of send you some information, joegibbsonline.com. We'd love to have you contact us. We'll send you some free information. There's no strings attached. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next week.